Today's really special because we're going to be going through the motions of
the sacred ritual
of preparing for an acting audition, specifically a self-tape submitted audition. Now, you have two different kinds of auditions, right? So you have your in-person audition, which starts out by you receiving an email, told the name of your character, followed by some sides, which are just a fancy word for scenes and lines that your character has in the project. Included in this email, there should be a location and a time and date, and that is where and when you're supposed to show up and give your audition. When the time comes, you bring your sides memorized. They say you don't have to be memorized, but take my word for it, you do. Give your audition to a casting director. Normally, there's someone else in the room. There's an assistant or someone that was just hired for the day to read with you. Sometimes the casting director is the one reading with you. They film you, and you're on your merry way. Now, with the self-tape audition, as the name might imply, you are taping yourself. Now, it starts out the same way. You get an email that includes the project, the little bit of information on casting, and any notes that they have, my character's name, and her sides. Now, it doesn't include a location, but I still have a date and time, and that's just the deadline by when I have to turn this in. Now I have all this time from when I received the audition until when it's due to prepare, to film it, and to send it in. Preparing for the audition is such a critical step in this that you must learn to love it. Embrace it. I've come up with my own little process that starts off with me reading the material, reading the scenes over and over and over and over and over again. So that's where we're gonna start. We're gonna start with a little light summer reading. So once I've read the scene 3 or 4 times and I feel like I'm ready to start trying to memorize, what I want to do first is take my phone out, go into voice memos, and record the scene, but only read all the other characters' lines. Saving that, and I can use that to study in contrast with myself. Like I can talk with myself, I can answer the recording. Okay, so it's already getting pretty late, so I'm just going to spend the rest of the night reading this, going over it, rehearsing it, and going into our next preparation step tomorrow. Going back into prep for day 2, it's good to start off where we left off yesterday, pick back up there with the material, keep refreshing ourselves, really getting familiar with these lines and who our character is. So now we have this little description of her, right? And then we have lines. In order to fully understand the situation, let's create a hypothetical that we're going to go through together. So we'll create a character named Abbie Robinson. And let's say that in the description that we were given, it says that Abbie Robinson is a very quiet and to herself girl. She is kind and gentle. She is empathetic and caring. She doesn't draw much attention to herself. She's introverted. She's sweet. She is not the life of the party. Now we have this idea of who she is. We've gone over our lines, so we know the things that she says. We know how she talks. And then we can further think about what things does Abbie like to do? What movies does she like? How does she like to spend her time? And what clothing she wears? Because that's important for us to know so we can physically prepare for this role. We can portray Abbie on the camera. So we know that she's quiet and she doesn't draw much attention to herself, so maybe we'll want to wear something that's a little bit more subdued. We don't want to wear very bright colors for this character. And it's important to note that wardrobe is not the end all. It's not what's going to make or break you. It just helps. I think more than anyone, it helps you feel connected to this character. It helps you feel like you are stepping outside of yourself. You are being true to this person and you can bring this person to life. And then it does further help the casting director or whoever's going to watch you on film decide whether you are conveying this person. So, wearing the clothes does help them see it and help make that connection because it would help anyone. But more than anything, it helps you step into those shoes. At least for me, it definitely helps create this flip in my mind where it's like, okay, I'm wearing this new outfit, now I'm this new person. It's always a great idea to have options. So now we also want to take into consideration some visual aspects, like what is our background going to be? If our background is light, like these walls behind me have this lighter color, maybe this dark will help pop against it a little more than this will. Ta-da! We're one step closer to being Abbie. Now, let's say Abbie is a high schooler. Abbie is 16, 17-ish, it says in the description. We don't want to do a face full of glam, but you know, we do want to look, they call quote unquote camera ready. So we'll do a very minimal makeup look, even less than like the natural glam that I think is really big right now. We're gonna go even less than that. Okay, the first step that I take for audition makeup is that I do a quick facial scan to see if there's any blemishes, found them, that need covering. So we're gonna go into that first. Then I wanna go and tackle my dark circles, especially if Abbie is going to be 16, 17. Although I know high schoolers are tired and working hard all the time, but we wanna make Abbie a little fresh. We are not gonna do any contour. We're gonna skip on that because that does age us up a little bit, but we can do the reverse and use a little blush. But not too much, right? Because we're not going to prom for this scene. Unless you get a scene where you are going to prom, then I guess the whole makeup situation would be different. And then we're going to do the eye, going for a really light color here. And I have a ton of other fun pinks, purples, golds. We're gonna skip on that today. We're just gonna keep it pretty neutral. Go for like a subtle brown, just on the edge here. I changed the lighting up a bit because this part's gonna be magic. So now I want to take a bit of a thinner brush. And here it's important I try to be very careful with this step because this step can easily turn to glam, which we're not doing glam. I just want to make my eyes pop a little bit. My eyes are brown, so I like to take a brown color from here and just do the corners. Then the last step for our eyes is applying mascara. Even though we're not trying to do like this big explosive eye look, I still like to get in the bottom line just a tiny bit. Nothing crazy, like that's it. We're almost done. Next is lips. I try to pick out a pretty neutral color. There. Last step of our little audition makeup, and it's using highlighter. This is the one that I got. I think I got it from Target. And I like to really blend it in to the point where it's almost not even a thing anymore. It's my audition makeup look. I actually pretty much use this for every audition because it just doesn't really look like much makeup, I think. Next, we're gonna tame the wild beast that is my hair. So I do this in kind of two steps. I use hair blow dryer and a straightening iron. So just a lot of heat. Next, we're pulling out this, which is my personal lifesaver. I feel like my ends are already curling a little bit, so let's just lean into that. Our Abbie look is complete. Now I want to look for a filming location, right? We want to get a really good spot. This is perfect, having this background. It is blank. I have actually used this little light right here. It is very helpful. I put it behind the camera. Boom. And that's it. We hypothetically prepared for the role of Abbie. Now, we didn't go into like breaking down the actual material and tips and tricks on how to memorize. I've actually heard so many different schools of thought on how to do both and just approaching the scene and the character in so many different ways. And I wouldn't say one way is right and one is wrong. Just different things work for different people. So you just got to find whatever works for you, whatever makes the scene or whatever's happening in the story at the point where you have to record, whatever makes that real to you, go with that. Get there how you get there. Our hypothetical Abbie is set up for a wonderful scene. I'll see you in my next video. Thank you for watching.